and it's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Hi everyone, I'm Hextasy, and a while back I was playing ranked double battles in Pokemon Scarlet, and made it to Master Ball tier with my beloved weather teams. Said I'd play more, but then never did. But with Champions just releasing, now is a good time to give competitive battles a try again. So we hit up the eShop, find the Champions plus starter pack on the home page, but that one costs money, so let's go to recent releases and find it there. We scroll down a bit past a half dozen hentai games and find Pokemon Champions, download it, start it up, and I need to fix my clock. Well, my clock is absolutely screwed from time-traveling shenanigans in Sword and Scarlet, so we fix that and actually get started. The game starts with character customization, and I have to say, out of the 3 new games I've gotten this year, this one easily has the 3rd best character creator. Just behind Monster Hunter Wilds, where I nearly turned myself into Frieza and decimated the population of any monkey-shaped monsters, and that is just behind Code Vein 2, where I made this monstrosity. Are you happy with this appearance? No, how can I be when I'm forced to wear that? Well, unfortunately, it won't let me continue until I lie, so here's my character for now. We get into the intro cutscene, I'm having a stroke and can't read the sign, and we meet with Cordy, his granddaughter Totora, and Rhodey the Rotom, who I already hate. We go through the tutorial, which we can turn off our brains for since we only have to hit the A button, and we meet Kit, who lets us get new Pokemon. One of those options are a Tyranitar with the Sandstream ability. Naturally, we'll be trying to bring back our weather teams and pick them. The game makes a team for us, and we get to queue up for our first battle. Totora briefly changes her name to Cordy, and despite the game pretending our first opponent is another person, it's clear we're up against a computer opponent. Because only a kid would bring in a Pikachu, but no kid would use a non-damaging move like Scary Face. The only stat they would try to drop is your HP. But at the end, we get bumped up to Pokeball tier rank 4, and we get full control at this point and can look around the different options. The game has a battle pass, I hate that, and we find the shop where we can get Mega Stones and items, but naturally, we're going to buy clothes first so we can get out of that ugly default uniform. Once we look slightly less awful, we go to recruit some more Pokemon for our team. For the first round of Pokemon, we're thinking about grabbing an Aegislash, but I don't realize we can change Pokemon stats until later, and I just assume we have to deal with Pokemon being randomized. And this Aegislash isn't the best, so we pass them up and grab Chimecho and the Chimechite from the store, so we can Mega Evolve them. We also get a Garchomp, a Starmie, a Lycanroc, and a Galarian Slowking. We start throwing together the best Sandstorm team we can make with what we have, and quickly find the items we bought aren't showing up. It turns out you can just keep hitting R and L to reach other item categories that the UI makes no attempt to show they're there. We then find out how to change our Pokemon stats, moves, and abilities, but since it costs points, we'll hold off on that for now and just get into some battles. Starting with our first real battle against Monroe, and we decide to roll with Tyranitar, Garchomp, Chimecho, and Lycanroc. And Monroe starts with Gengar and Drampa. We'll have Garchomp use Breaking Swipe, and Tyranitar set up a Dragon Dance. Gengar moves first and hits Tyranitar with a Taunt, stopping their Dragon Dance. Clearly, we're up against an absolute genius here. Breaking Swipe lands, doing solid damage against both their Pokemon, and one more might take them both out. Drampa uses Safeguard, and next turn, Gengar hits Tyranitar with a Nightshade for a guaranteed 50 damage. Then they get destroyed by a knockoff, and Drampa goes down to Garchomp's Breaking Swipe. Whimsicott and Steelix are out next, and Whimsicott begins setting up a Solar Beam. Okay, we're not up against a genius. Tyranitar lands a Fire Punch against Steelix, and Garchomp takes out Whimsicott with a Poison Jab. Steelix then uses Rock Polish to double their speed, but they're still slower than both our Pokemon, and Garchomp uses an Earthquake to kill everything on the field to win our first battle. Moving right on to our second battle, we're against someone with a name I can't pronounce, and this team is the exact same one as the one from the beginner tier battle, so I'm assuming they're also a computer player and we naturally thrash them to win the second battle. For the third battle, we're against Arc 5555, and we're going to stick with the Tyranitar Garchomp opening with Lycanroc and Chimecho in the back. And they will be starting with Rampardos and Altaria. Tyranitar moves first and lands a critical hit knockoff to kill Rampardos, and Garchomp hits Altaria hard with a Breaking Swipe before they use Cotton Guard to raise their defense by 3 stages. Dragonite comes in, and Altaria Mega Evolves before Dragonite outspeeds us to land a one-hit KO Draco Meteor on Garchomp. We take out a fourth of Dragonite's HP with a knockoff, and then Tyranitar loses 2/3 of their HP to Altaria's Hyper Voice. We bring Lycanroc in, and they move first using Rock Slide. Unfortunately, it misses Dragonite and fails to KO Altaria, and Dragonite can hit Tyranitar with an Ice Beam, but that doesn't even remove half of our remaining HP, and we land a Stone Edge to take them out before Altaria uses Hyper Voice. This cuts Lycanroc's HP in half, and ends Tyranitar. They bring in Chimecho, and their last Pokemon is Rotom. We Mega Evolve Chimecho, take out Altaria with a Rock Slide, then land a Psychic to take out Rotom and win the fight, bumping us up to rank 3, and with the win streak we're on, we'll only need one more win to hit rank 2. But before then, let's upgrade our team. We grab a Klefki, who we'll want for their Prankster ability. There's a team I've seen going around where a Hawlucha skill swaps No Guard onto an Excadrill, and then goes crazy with one-hit KO moves, so we'll want Taunt to put an end to that. Turns out, Klefki can't learn Taunt, and we don't have the VP to fix our other Pokemon stats because we wasted it all on Klefki. So we go sit through a bunch of tutorials to rack up some VP and tickets, and grab some more Pokemon. We get Chestnut, Sableye, the giant staple remover for when we make a rain team, Clefable, Armarouge, and Aegislash. We edit all of our Pokemon stats, but hesitate on Starmie since I find out Mega Starmie is a physical attacker, and I don't want to put resources into Starmie if we're just going to change them later. With stat changes made, it's time to get the fourth battle started. This time, we're starting with Tyranitar and Whimsicott, with Garchomp and Chimecho in the back, against their Volcarona and Incineroar. Incineroar immediately hits Tyranitar with a Fake Out, and we have Whimsicott use Tailwind before their Volcarona uses Tailwind. I, under the impression this cancelled our Tailwind, use it again, only to watch it fail before Whimsicott is destroyed by a Fiery Dance that boosts Volcarona special attack. Luckily, they'll never get to put it to use since Tyranitar then uses a Rock Slide, KOing Volcarona and dealing solid damage to Incineroar, flinching them in the process. We bring out Garchomp and our opponent sends out a Azumarill. Garchomp uses Earthquake to finish Incineroar and deal damage to everything else, and Tyranitar hits a Azumarill with a knockoff, removing their Citrus Berry before going down to a superpower. We both bring out our final Pokemon, Chimecho and Gardevoir. Gardevoir copies Garchomp's Sandveil ability. We Mega Evolve Chimecho, and Gardevoir uses Moonblast against Garchomp, which misses, before Garchomp uses Poison Jab, which misses. We then hit Gardevoir with an Energy Ball since they're the bigger threat, and deal decent damage before Azumarill hits Garchomp with a Play Rough. They then use Aqua Jet, just missing the KO on Garchomp, and another Moonblast misses, allowing Garchomp to use Earthquake and finish off both opponents to win us the fight and bump us up to rank 2. Next up is our match with Brunt X lowercase x. and it looks like they have a Sun team, so we'll be rolling with the same team of 4 as last time. We open with Tyranitar and Whimsicott against their Charizard and Whimsicott. They Mega Evolve Charizard into their Y form, replacing our Sandstorm with Sun, and after our Whimsicott taunts theirs, they get destroyed by Charizard's Overheat, and then their Whimsicott hits Tyranitar hard with a Moonblast. We then use Rock Slide, missing Whimsicott but taking out Charizard. We bring in Garchomp next, and they bring out Azumarill. We switch Tyranitar out for Chimecho, and Garchomp outspeeds Whimsicott to land a Poison Jab for the KO. Azumarill then hits Chimecho with a superpower for decent damage, and dropping their own attack and defense before their White Herb reverts that. Venusaur comes in, and we swap Garchomp out for Tyranitar to get our Sandstorm back out, and Mega Evolve Chimecho before being outsped by Venusaur, and getting put to sleep by a Sleep Powder. Azumarill then takes out Tyranitar with a Play Rough, and we bring Garchomp back out again. They land a Poison Jab on Azumarill for big damage before being taken down by a combination of Energy Ball and Play Rough, and Chimecho still asleep obviously. Next turn, Chimecho is hit by an Energy Ball before waking up and taking Venusaur out with a Psychic, so we can't be put back to sleep. And we're then hit by a superpower that we barely survive. If Azumarill doesn't know Aqua Jet, we should win here, but I really shouldn't have gotten my hopes up since Aqua Jet is on like 80% of Azumarill sets, and Chimecho goes down, making for our first loss. On to the next battle against another person with a name I can't read, and we'll be rolling with Whimsicott and Chimecho first, with Tyranitar and Lycanroc in the back, and they are starting with Abomasnow and Kingambit. I didn't start with Tyranitar so we could swap them in case Abomasnow was slower and got their Snow Warning off, but it looks like Abomasnow doesn't even have Snow Warning as their ability. We swap Whimsicott for T-Tar and Mega Evolve Chimecho, hitting Abomasnow hard with a Psychic before they use Scary Face on Tyranitar, and Kingambit uses Flash Cannon on Chimecho for 15 damage. Yeah, this has to be another computer player. We quickly win without losing a single Pokemon. Next, we're up against another Tyranitar Enjoyer in T2M. So we'll be going with the usual Tyranitar, Whimsicott, Garchomp, and Chimecho. And we're up against Washing Machine Rotom and their own Whimsicott. Their Whimsicott moves before ours, meaning we have a speed tie since ours is max speed, and they use Helping Hand on Rotom before we can use Taunt on their Whimsicott, and then Tyranitar gets taken out by a single Hydro Pump. We bring our Mega Chimecho in, and they swap their Whimsicott out for Dragonite while ours uses Tailwind to double our speed, and Chimecho hits Rotom hard with an Energy Ball before losing half of their HP to a Hydro Pump. Rotom gets swapped out for Kingambit, and Dragonite Mega Evolves before getting annihilated by a combination of Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam, without being able to move. Whimsicott is back in, and we swap out Chimecho for Garchomp, and their Whimsicott once again wins the speed tie to boost the power of Kingambit's next attack with a Helping Hand, before getting taunted again. Kingambit uses Kowtow Cleave, which Garchomp survives with less than a fourth of their HP left. They once again swap Whimsicott out and bring Rotom back in, and Kingambit is taken out by a combination of Moonblast and Earthquake. So T2M's Whimsicott makes their third appearance, just as our Sandstorm and Tailwind go down. Both Whimsicotts use Tailwind, theirs outspeeding ours, not that it matters, and Rotom then takes out Garchomp with a Hydro Pump. Chimecho is back in, and their Whimsicott uses Helping Hand to help out Rotom, who is outsped by our Whimsicott and taken out by a Moonblast. Their Whimsicott barely survives Chimecho's Psychic, and despite watching their HP go back up thanks to leftovers and watching them switch moves, I write in my notes that the reason their Whimsicott won every speed tie was because they might have been Choice Scarfed because they use a failed Helping Hand before getting hit by a Moonblast to end the fight. we get bumped up to rank 1, and if we can win the next fight, we'll move up to Great Ball tier. For that 8th battle, we're up against Trainer, another person who seems to be using a Sandstorm team. So we'll leave Tyranitar back and let them set up the Sandstorm while we start with Whimsicott and Garchomp, where we have Chimecho and, for once, Starmie in the back. They start with Sandaconda and Hippowdon, and between an Energy Ball and Breaking Swipe, we can take out Sandaconda before they can even move. Hippowdon then uses Whirlwind, forcing Whimsicott out in favor of Chimecho. They then bring out and Mega Evolve Aerodactyl, while we Mega Evolve Chimecho. They then use Fly, avoiding a Psychic and Breaking Swipe, while Hippowdon sets up Stealth Rocks. Aerodactyl misses their Fly and is hit hard by Breaking Swipe and Psychic, while Hippowdon uses Stockpile. I'm not about to let them stack up defenses on a Pokemon that's already on Death's Door, so while Aerodactyl is swapped out for their own Garchomp, we take Hippowdon out with Breaking Swipe and Energy Ball. Aerodactyl is back in and uses Steel Wing on Garchomp before going down to Breaking Swipe. Their own Garchomp moves next, using Earthquake, and failing to even come close to KOing our Garchomp thanks to their attack being cut in half. A Dazzling Gleam from Chimecho takes them out to win us the fight, and that bumps us up to Great Ball tier. We're automatically bumped back to the main menu, so Caraway can give us 5 whole extra slots for Pokemon. And while we're here, we may as well look at some of the missions we haven't done yet. Most of them should be easy enough, like looking at the news section or using Auto Team Build. But collecting a Pokemon from Pokemon Home? That's never going to happen. We'll also grab a few new Pokemon, getting Torkoal and Pelipper, both really good weather setters. And before finishing this up, let's do one more battle, just to see if there's a big jump in skill level from Pokeball tier to Great Ball tier. We're up against Lutzi, with what looks to be a rain team, so we'll have Tyranitar and Chimecho in the back, and we'll start with Lycanroc and Whimsicott against their Gliscor and Pelipper, the latter of which brings the rain. We switch Whimsicott out for Tyranitar, changing the weather to a sandstorm, and Lycanroc moves first and lands a Thunderfang on Pelipper for the one-hit KO. Gliscor then uses Earthquake, KOing Lycanroc and taking a solid chunk of HP from Tyranitar. Whimsicott is brought back in, and Lutzi sends Sylveon in. We set up a Tailwind, allowing Tyranitar to move first and land a powerful knockoff on Gliscor as they set up Toxic Spikes, and Sylveon uses Hyper Voice, bringing both of our Pokemon low. Our leftovers heal Tyranitar just enough to survive a quick attack from Sylveon, and we then take out Gliscor with a combination of Energy Ball and Rock Slide. Lutzi's last Pokemon is a Gyarados, and they immediately Mega Evolve, ditching their Flying type for Dark, which is actually the best case scenario for us. Quick Attack takes out Tyranitar, but Whimsicott can hit Gyarados hard with a now super effective Moonblast before going down to Ice Fang. And all we have left is Chimecho, who needs to clutch this 2v1. We Mega Evolve and move first using Boom Burst, taking out Gyarados and dealing solid damage to Sylveon, who then hits us with a Yawn. We'll be going to sleep at the end of the next turn, but not before we put Sylveon down with a Psychic to win the fight. This is a good place to stop for now. 8 wins and 1 loss, that's a pretty good record for day 1. I'll work at building my Rain and Sun teams next, but for now, I've been Hextasy, and thanks for watching.